to discuss?
Depending on what they are, sure.
Okay, it would not be that long to have that conversation. So I'm going to, at this point in time, then go ahead and turn it over to Susanna to discuss the business district.
Okay, good afternoon. Today we're discussing the home business district. Part of the responsibility of community standards is to maintain the covenants in the home business district in regard to compliance issues. The home business district guideline that was approved in 2009 lists the addresses that are composed in the home business district. There's the ones that are on the front street, of course, but today we're discussing the ones under Water Street, which is about 605 to 619 and then 701. So the current design guidelines for the home business district are very restrictive in that no signage is allowed outside the business blade sign. The business blade sign is that oval one that hangs outside of each unit that lists their company and their business. And it also allows for one poster for upcoming events, operation sign. So using these guidelines, standards, I did some research on this in 2009, 2011, 2013, based on maybe some signage that was put out that wasn't in the design guidelines of permitted uses. So I came on board to this position as Community Standards Manager at the end of 2014. And then in December 2015, I sent out a letter to all the home business district owners introducing myself and reminding them of the covenants. And I attached the guidelines in hopefully a nice friendly letter. And then in February, I followed up to each of the owners with a letter basically saying these are the things that are not in compliance according to the guidelines, and if you could please address those. Of course, immediately we got a lot of concerned phone calls, emails from the business owners because, you know, obviously they had their reasons for putting out the different signs according to, you know, their different business. And as in response to that, Steve and Susan and I held a walk in April. It was a walking meeting down Celebration Avenue, and many of the business owners joined us, and we kind of walked along each unit and kind of listened to what their concerns were and how each deferred based on their business needs. And then we kind of said, well, you know, we'll get back to you. The main concern that we heard was the challenge of advertising their business. You know, obviously they're on Celebration Avenue, which is the main thoroughfare. They're under Water Street, and they're across from the commercial side of things. So they are basically a residential unit, which means those are the units that are allowed to have a non-discrete business. We're all clear about what a discrete business is. And those units, they can have clients, you know, they can advertise, they can do all the things that a discrete business could not. But, you know, they express some challenges when you look across. You know, on the other side, you know, they have maybe more bright colors, more signage, you know, and trying to compete with that has been difficult. Also, you know, they express that, you know, tourists come in town and, you know, trying to get their attention to people who don't necessarily know about their businesses already and trying to get their attention is a reason to have more information on display, you know, maybe brochures, maybe, I know for real estate companies, a lot of it is the houses that they're marketing. And so we kind of got together, Steve and Susan and I, and we tried to come up with a solution to where we were trying to address their needs as far as trying to provide information out to customers, but also stay within the guidelines. So we did some research and we came up with an informational display. And let me show you what that looked like. And I think this will probably be surprising to y'all, because we hadn't sent it to you, but so our idea was something like this. In the home business district, they are allowed to keep the Celebration newspaper on a stand. So our thought was something like this for each unit, then that they could put their own promotional materials at the top, and then they could put the newspaper at the bottom, and kind of that would eliminate all the extra signage that they felt they needed to put in to get people's attention, and centralize it for each one. And there's two different types here based on kind of the furniture Or alternatively, once, if this was approved, they could kind of come up with something compatible. So we took this to ARC, and we gave them the history, and we gave them the concerns of the business district, and also with respect to the guidelines, and presented this, and they did not approve it. They felt like the home business district already had too much signage, that this was adding more to the outdoor furniture out there. It was increasing the level of items out there, kind of creating a cluttered look, and so they unanimously did not approve it. So coming to the board today, we want to present that idea back to you again, and have you kind of look at the Water Street Home Business District and the individual units, so you can kind of see what's going on out there, see what they're putting in their windows versus what the guideline allows, and then kind of see where we go from there.
So Susanna, just so that we're clear, the home business district that we're talking about is not only the ones on Water Street, but also including, as it continues going, like the eye care and the
Yes.
Front Street Family Dentistry and that sort of thing as well.
Yes.
All of that would be bulked into the same type guideline, correct?
Yes, the guideline does apply to those as well as the ones on Front Street. And I did do an inspection of all of them. And, you know, letters were sent out if anything applied. In these particular situations, there was more items that were found, basically, as far as, you know, signage in the window.
So these are the non-Lexon home district properties?
Yeah, these are all in Water Street.
On the north side of the street.
I just have, because Kathy, you've been in business for a very long time on Front Street. I'd like to get a little bit of insight as to some of the challenges. Is that
Sure.
okay with you?
Yeah.
Kathy? Could you just, because, I mean, you've been here for a long time, so I guess, has this been an ongoing problem and we're just seeing it, or where's, I guess, why is it here now?
Were there complaints?
I guess
and what
is my question.
Yeah.
Well, if I could answer, that's one of the. I'm having to grab a microphone. That's one of the things that concerns me. I'll sit next to Steve.
Come on next to me.
Have a seat. That's one of my concerns with all the things that are going on in the business district, and I mean downtown everywhere, with the stores closing, with the climate, the economy change, that we've already got brown wrapped up stores downtown. We've got stores for sale that half the people don't know are for sale. Sweepscapes is for sale. We've got a lot of things that are going to be happening. The other side of Lexington is the chiropractor just moved out. More of them are going to move out because of what's going on over there. Many of them are just waiting to move out. The bakery, the kids, You Can Cook is going to move out. They're just waiting. So what I'm looking at is a town that needs rejuvenation. And if you've looked at my store, and I've got a picture here that's probably better than what you have. In front of my store, I do not like things in the windows. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a realtor, so I'm going to speak against some of my realtors. I have a concern. There's no one here. And the reason is we didn't hear about this till Friday. I only found out because Mary Jane, or who was taking pictures in front of my store, and I just went out to say friendly, like, well, what's going on? Because we haven't seen you folks since April. We haven't had a letter. We haven't had a reprimand or a warning. And I said, okay, well, I'm just doing it for a meeting. And then that's when we got talking. And Jim, who owns 7 of them, any notification Friday, late afternoon, he called me and said, well, I can't fly in from Tennessee. And the other people are shop owners, Rose, Morgan, so there was no time. So I'm not trying to represent everybody, but I wouldn't mind if you used mine, I'm just going to say it as a template. You can't see as well as the one I took tonight, but on mine, we're allowed to have the newspapers because we're doing a public service. So we give out the Celebration newspaper that Mary Pleban publishes. It's over on the right. You don't have the full picture, which you could see if I pass that around, just kind of keep it there.
Right
As you can
there.
see. I have a white stand because the nasty metal stand that it was years old, they were rusty, they were ugly, that carried the newspaper, so I put a very attractive white one that goes with the decor, and we hand out as many newspapers as Town Hall does. And they deliver bale after bale after bale, because we become kind of a little bit of a storefront for information on Celebration. So I think most of you know I'm not a purist, but I'm trying very hard to promote the town. And so on the right is a newspaper stand. They're just neatly piled on the right. In the middle, right between the two rocking chairs, is a plant, a live plant. And there are two, if you look at that, you can expand it. There are two skinny little holders. One is for the holiday house tour that we've given so many out, they don't have any left. And the other is for the for the concert series. So we were asked to do this, so we do it. Then the only sheer blatant advertising, we have no houses in the windows at all. We have nothing. We were told not to. And across the street, they're always allowed to have two events. Lexington's very fussy about it, but of course, there's realtors over there with every window plastered. I don't like that. I don't think that's pretty. So it's not because they're my competitors. They can do what I do. And then in that little tiny, so I don't like those wooden things. They're nasty. Very clear, right in front of the second door to the left.
Right over here.
If you have a phone that you're passing around and you expand it, it's a clear plastic desk. You have for me to lift, so I can't just keep moving it around. And in that Fields magazine, and that has our local people advertising, not just people selling stuff. It's articles about the town. It's interviews with new people in town. His is right smack in front on the bottom.
So that's your only kiosk then?
That's it.
Is this it, just to make it clear, right?
Yes, yeah, and please look at my cell phone one, because that's taken today. And I didn't change anything. The very top piece that you see is a little article that goes out to over 2,200 people, 2,200 people worldwide every single Monday morning. It's called Just Another Day in Celebrationville. Yes, it has a logo on it, but what that is, and I get asked by every nonprofit, the marathon's in there, it's everything that's happening that week. And it's really important to people all over the world. Our own people who live in other states go, oh, I'm so glad I got that, because I threw away the newspaper or I didn't get the newspaper. And it just tells them that the parade is on this day, not the one you'd think it'd be on, it's on this day. And that, we've even had phone calls from Town Hall thanking us for putting some of the refreshers. We put Food Truck Friday. It's like a mini Friday flash that people who don't check their emails. So, but that goes via internet to 2,200 people. In the middle, there's three little piles there. It is the only question people want to know when they walk in. Like in the old days, we had all the open houses and the sign showed you where it was. That's gone, except on the weekends. And people don't know where the 851 building is. They come into town, they park, and that says houses under 2, not my houses, all houses under 2, a little thumbnail. Houses under 2, I'm sorry, houses under 4, and condos under 2, multifamily. It just flies off the rack. Now, over on the one side, right above above the newspapers is one plastic sign, and it says, come in, because we can't leave our doors open there, by the way, just so you know. We can't leave them open because we're 830 square feet, and the size of our air conditioners, they freeze within 1 hour, and it ruins our air conditioners. That's all of those along there. We cannot, because it just freezes them up. We've even had new air conditioners put in. So we have no way to we don't go out and hawk and sit on the front things to get people in. That's not our issue. That says, come in for a walking tour of downtown Celebration. And that is our maps that we pay, Mary Pleban's group, the pub, we pay for those maps, and we don't put them out in stacks because they're extremely expensive. I don't know if you're all aware what we pay for that little ad on the back. So of course we hand our maps out, but it's the map of Celebration, and in it is the walking tour of downtown Celebration. We just went and heard Michael Eisner and Peter Rummel. Everybody's into this right now, 20th anniversary. Our map says 20th anniversary, and they want to do a downtown walking tour, and bam, there it is. I cannot tell you that is what brings people in our door, and if you ask anybody who comes in, at least at my shop, we do not sell houses inside that office. We give people an orientation. I'm a relocation specialist. We hand out relocation packages with every single thing from Thriving in Place to the concert series. Everything is in that relocation package so that they can go out, look at the map, we explain the map, we tour the whole map with them, and then they go out. If they later want to come back and look at a house, fine. But that is not our agenda. None of us do it. I only have 4 people working at my shop. Myself, my husband, Ann Whalen, which a lot of you know, and just had a mental blank. She's an employee. We're all employees. Our job is to sell the town because we feel that we need somebody that just raves about the town. And I'm not trying to be Pollyanna, but if you ask anybody, they will tell you when you walk in our shop, it looks like a house, and that's what we talk about. We do not
It
sell
is lovely.
houses, we sell celebration.
Well-
I feel we're a good model for the others.
I agree.
Yeah, I would say this is more the poster child of the way it's supposed to look like.
And
I
you know,
think.
there's no reason, we are almost 20 years old, that our covenants, we went and put in the 9/11/40 as a one-time capital. We changed the town. We've not had one complaint ever, not even from other realtors. No realtor has said, we don't like their shop, they're unfair. But I do believe that whole end of that street, you're putting people at jeopardy whose businesses are hanging on. Personally, I'm not, but there are people hanging on by their toenails. We just lost one at 609. We lost the rock guy.
I noticed
Okay.
it was empty.
He couldn't keep up.
Which one?
The man who does the rock, well, it was called
Hardscape.
Emmental.
Yeah.
But
we-
a lot of the stuff across the street from you is.
Oh, well-
Because they have a big nut to crack for the rent,
And
too.
so one of the things is that we talked as we walked is, you want to be fair to equally. Well, unfortunately, we're the ones getting penalized with not a single complaint. But if you look across the street, I don't care if it's a real estate company or whatever, they've got their big banners hanging up there. They've got constantly things hanging out. Yeah, that does look junky. That looks not nice.
We don't have any authority
I was
over
just-
what.
It's
I was just gonna ask the
Canoa.
next-
It's
next-
Canoa.
So
Next
therefore,
question.
I think that there should be some
What
for
is-
us, if we all do that, I think
do,
we
but
should
they
be
don't.
given some dispensation in the sense that, yeah, those are realtors, those
What are-
are competitors, barbers and nail salons and,
What are our covenants on across the street on the Lexington?
CJC would do it.
are they being fined on a daily basis?
It's Canoa is the
It's
one that has all
Canoa.
that. CROA does not have any.
So has anybody
it's-
gone to Canoa? I mean,
It is my understanding that they have been noticed about
Well,
those
but-
items,
And I
but
will say with Canoa, they have a different set of rules, a different set of covenants, but they're in the legal process right now for a lot of different aesthetic issues, so it's all encompassing for them.
Yeah, and they've given up. They used to only allow all those stores that have every window plastered or something. I can tell you, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, they couldn't, Michael Nunez wouldn't let them put up more than 2 posters. So if I with Rotary was trying to do a pancake run or raise something for the
Wait till
garden
somebody
club,
was done
they'd go,
first.
sorry, 2 people are up. I mean, they ran that like the Nazi, like the suit Nazi, I should say, to be
And you had to
funny.
literally stalk them and wait up there to get it approved because you couldn't just slide it under the door
No,
or send
so,
an email.
but
you know.
now they don't care anymore. So I'm not trying to say, we're good, they're bad. I'm just trying to say, if you have no control over the schmucky stuff over there, just because it doesn't look nice, but if you don't, then goodness, choose a standard. The sign that I have over that says Imagination, the blade sign, you call it.
the blade sign's actually, your sign is approved. I
But
found
you
your
know why
approval,
it's
but the
approved?
blade sign's up higher. It's the oval sign. that
The oval
hangs off
sign.
Yeah, that's
yes.
the blade sign.
That other one I can't take down. They wouldn't allow me. That was my original sign when I opened, when they converted
The square
from
one?
Yes.
condo use from apartment use to condo use. That's not even my logo. Water Street told me I could not. That was approved.
Those were
Not
approved.
only by you all, not you all,
remember that.
you weren't here. Not only by you all, but by Tarragon. Remember who was running it then?
Right.
Everybody approved it, and that was my logo. That
You
was
do
my
have the
sign.
only approved sign on a wall.
That's right,
You
and
do.
then the
I
others
did find
started
the
slapping
approval.
signs up. I understand, but I was told I could not penetrate the building, I could not take the sign down, it was not mine to do. This is from Water Street, remember, they also have a say in it. So we just kind of ignore that because it's not our logo anymore. But our blade sign actually, and it's a fact, was the sign that everybody had to mimic, to the T. So if you look, every single sign on my street, because I help manage Jim Wright's properties for him, every single sign, any new person coming in has to
There's
have
the
the
blade sign.
exact same sign as my blade sign.
That's the blade sign right
And that's
here in
why
the top
our
right-hand
side is
corner.
exactly the same,
Right here in the top
Right
right-hand
below
corner.
617.
hidden behind that white awning.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yeah.
See that right up? Yeah, yeah.
So that sign was approved, the rack was approved, so every single person had to do that sign because they wanted them uniform. So it was easy because I managed the other place, I own my own storefront. So that's when they said, a few years ago, they were going to try to make the other side of the street do the same. They said, wouldn't it be nice if everybody had it? Well, that didn't quite come together because the town could, anyway. So I would like to propose, even if we have to change things, that you set a standard I don't think that those boxes, if I had been on the architecture review committee, I would have said,
They're ugly.
no, that's not nice. They're
Well-
lumpy, they're thunky.
But even from an advertising point of view, it doesn't show the message at all.
Well,
I like when
especially-
you
yeah.
have the stacked vertically things.
Well, it allows me too to advertise every time somebody comes up, whether it's the only time you'll see a picture in my window is if it's the art fest, or the stroll, art and wine. Or when there's a window sign when it's never a house. It's always something that the town is doing for philanthropic reasons.
But I don't think we want to focus in on the style of that not being approved. I think we want to focus more on the ARC said
What can we do?
no more. Because what we tried to do by walking with Kathy and the other business owners down there was how can we work together to try and come up with a solution? We hear what they're saying, we hear their problems and some of their business needs, but we know what the guidelines say and what we're supposed to be managing to. So we're trying to come up with a compromise, a happy medium, something that makes sense. If we weren't along the process, that would have just been the next letter. So we wanted to escalate it, bring it to you, talk to you. Is there anything else that we can do to try and meet these needs and try and help those business owners there?
So,
Let me, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Art.
I guess, so, thank you for coming, by the way, and providing the model. I guess what would be more helpful to me is if we can go to a different, like, I'm looking at,
Sure.
like, Remax. I want to look at something that's wrong.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's probably a better
because
example.
that could help me a little bit better, just because, and I want to understand from the point of view, it sounds like obviously a lot of the draw is walk-up traffic, is people that are coming in, and that's the point of when we need, signage, not only to be able to find the business, but also folks that are just out and about that want to find something that haven't done research online, or they didn't see an advertisement somewhere.
They just pull in.
curious, they just pull in and see something. And I think there's obviously a lot of, real estate storefronts here, but, to your point, I had never even heard of the Rock Guy, to be honest, or whatever it is. I'd never seen him, but I think
And I walk by there all the time.
what we need to find is not only a solution that will be helpful to a real estate storefront,
Oh, no,
but also
everybody.
to someone that might be selling widgets or
Correct.
something like
Yeah,
that,
I
no
agree.
matter what they want to do. So when we keep this in mind, I think it's something that we need to evaluate what the need is. If the need is in order to be able to attract walk-up traffic, for us to have them put a sign similar to like where the Remax is, where it says Imagination Realty, where it's inside somewhere, that's not necessarily going to attract someone. So I think that if we're going to look at, either adding, allowing for some sort of other type of signage, whether it's a A-frame or putting something out where people can see it. Now, obviously, I don't know the rules on the sidewalk in that piece, but I want to make sure that we're also not limiting this to like paper media is what I'm saying too.
That's a good
Because,
point. I have one on that.
if we have, someone that wants to advertise, let's say a florist wants to go in there, we need to make sure that we have the ability for them to, advertise stuff rather than just a sheet of paper.
It just is a little, that's one of the constraints, so that you understand. I paid $320,000 cash for my office. You'd never find an $830,000 condominium, one bedroom, one bath, at that price. I paid for that, and it's not about me, please, but just so you understand, it was the one opportunity that this was a home business district. Now, florists can't have it. You can't do retail. We are so limited on our side. No retail whatsoever. I get every day, bakeries. We want to do a bakery, we want to do a coffee shop. Can't do it. It can only be a service.
Let's ask the question, if you had a wish list.
Yes,
What would you like to be able to put out in front of your storefront?
just what I have. One kiosk, one clear. You can order those, by the way. They can go online.
So you're not advocating to be able to add more advertising. You're just
No.
saying, let's make it uniform.
I like it looking clean and neat. For example, now this is, and I love the guy that runs the business at Remax. He's not the owner, but I love Reen. He's the nicest guy. I have absolutely no trouble with Regal. I mean, I really, the competitors, it's a rich town that way.
I
But-
can't see through the window.
But you can't see through the windows. So I don't believe that really serves the public or the town. It doesn't look nice. And Reen knows how I feel, so I'm not speaking against Reen, because I actually
Right,
brought him
right.
with me. But I don't think it serves the owners either, because most people do not come up and put their nose to the window because they're afraid they'll run into a realtor. You know, nobody wants to meet a realtor. And so, because they're afraid they'll not be able to get away. So I don't think we should have stuff unless it's like they had downtown, unless it's a public, like the Wine and Art Festival or something to do with the town
Community
festivities.
I agree with what you're saying.
Community event, for example.
Kathleen, I agree with you, especially when I look at the right side over there, the windows that are behind the chairs and stuff like that. You can't even get close to those pictures.
Yeah.
So
And it's not all
to me,
they're
it would be
listing
better to
for.
have a stacked array, just like
Yeah.
you're talking about. You're the
Steve,
poster
go ahead.
child.
Steve, just a second.
So
Go ahead, Steve, go
I
ahead.
think something important for us to remember is that one day you guys will all move on to other volunteer opportunities within the community.
Yeah.
We'll all be retired or whatever. So we need something sustainable move forward that addresses
Yeah,
the needs.
I'm that way.
And one of the problems that we have right now is even on Kathy's beautiful patio there, there's violations the way that the guidelines are written now.
Yeah.
You're not even allowed to have the clear.
I know.
So we have to come up with a solution that
Yeah.
sticks and that works moving forward. And I think that's probably what we really want to talk about, because we can look at this one. We know this one probably has multiple postings in the windows
Right.
and some of the stuff
It's
that we
in-
may
it's
have on
in-
the
it's in
patio.
violation.
And even the Remax sign on the wall isn't
Yeah, that's
approved.
not
It was
approved.
never
Right.
approved
Well,
to
I
go
guess
up there.
I have two questions. Do you know why you're generally not allowed to have a sign there?
You mean the signs in the windows?
Oh, on the wall.
Yeah, on the wall. I mean, if
You're
you're
supposed to
looking-
have one. You're supposed to have one. And if I could take mine down, if you said to me everything's fine, I would have to ask Water Street, but I don't know. You know.
No,
Well, the board
I
of
mean-
directors, the ARC and management came up with guidelines in 2009, and the
Right.
board of directors approved them at that time.
Right.
And it was basically to designate them as a home business. Basically, they were homes where people live but could have a business. So the idea, I think, at that time, I wasn't here, was to kind of just designate it very subtle advertising, just the blade sign, but nothing besides that. It was to kind of create a more subtle business
You know, you
look.
said how we can have traffic. That's the only good thing. You know, we're not discreet. We're allowed to have people in
Right.
and out, in and out.
Right.
However, we also had to be ADA compliant. So we had to put a lot of money into the handles, have to be the crank handles, which aren't like everything else on Water Street. But we had to have it so somebody, you could go with their elbow, you know, and so there's a lot of things that we had to do. So all of those units,
Many of the businesses to the right of you do not have that.
they have the handles that go, well, they should. But that was, you know who said
They
that?
have step-ups this high.
Yeah. Well, you know, the way they're built, where I
in.
am, this is flat. There's
No,
remake.
I know how
Yeah.
yours is, Kathy.
But we can't fix it because that's the land, that's the way they were built. So I had them put the yellow strips because I was afraid people would trip. They run up to get out of the rain. They run in my place, then they run to the next one, they run to the next one, go boom, oh, yeah, on their face. We can't change that because they consider that the ADA compliant. Boy, do you get looked at. They came and looked at us, our back, our front.
But if you go down the street, you have
Right.
step-ups this
Yeah.
far going into many of the
Yeah.
places.
And they
up
don't
through
have
there.
any choice. There's nothing, they can come in the back. So you see,
They actually, I don't want to get into this
Oh, I know, I
here,
understand.
but there are alternatives.
yeah.
They're not going around back, but I don't want to get off on that.
I understand.
What I'm trying to do here is define a certain problem here. And from what I've heard is window postings other than limited to community events. Signs on walls, and I hear questions up to the right of me as to whether a sign on a wall like that isn't appropriate and could be put up. I mean, that's something the board, I guess, can decide as we go forward, whichever way we would want to go. Can you give me a more definition of the problems then, outside of those three things I've named so far?
I think there should be somewhere, if you're helping the public, the goal for all of us is to help the community and the public. If you have a business, it's nice if they don't have to walk in the door to see what your business is. And so that's what I like. I think one stand is appropriate, not all over tables and chairs. And also, I have to address the fact that we can't have florists, we can't have bakers or candlestick makers, nothing that you walk in, pay for, and walk out. That's absolutely forbidden. But the bridal shop's a perfect example. You cannot walk in the bridal shop and buy a wedding dress. That's how they've been there for all these years. They're extremely successful on the internet, from Dubai to Qatar to countries all over the world. The bride chooses the dresses online, They can come in off the street, samples, and walk out with an item. They can come in by address, and they can then go in and stand on a little pedestal and have teams go have their dresses, take them in. They do that, but they can't walk out, they can't pay. That's retail.
Yeah, whose rule is that?
No retail. It's
Who's
in there.
It's the home
Only when
business,
it was,
there's a design guideline called the Home Business District Permitted Business Uses
Yes.
that was passed by the board in 2009, and that also lists
No
basically,
retail business.
But
that's,
the
for
reason for
example,
that-
the one that was just approved
The
recently
reason
in
for that was
Celebration
because
Avenue.
it can't compete with Lexington, correct?
Well, Lexington
I'm not
wasn't
sure that's
here.
why those were put in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
They just had
When we
specific
opened in
uses.
2005.
2005,
yeah.
Front Street,
So that was
all those
2009.
houses.
I guess I don't understand why not.
I don't.
They can't
I don't
sell-
either, and I don't see
Yeah,
why
that
you can't
doesn't
do
make
it.
sense
Is there
to
any
me.
condo restriction?
Yeah, I mean, because it's technically, I don't know where we get in with the whole Water Street piece, but I mean, like, you know, this is the first, I've read that like 5 times before tonight, and I never put 2 and 2
Yeah,
together.
there you go.
That there couldn't be a florist there, that
Yeah.
I could walk in and buy
No,
flowers.
wouldn't it be
because that seems
nice?
to make sense.
Oh, we'd have them,
But,
it'd be wonderful.
You know, I guess what I'm understanding, if someone, everyone here is a lot smarter than me when it comes to a lot of stuff, so why can't we have retail?
Because they say we can't.
Well, they also don't have it over on Front Street, for those homes over there also. That's because, that's where it started.
Yeah.
But
There's
they're-
only, those homes,
But I have a
don't-
But they're
question.
going
I
into the
can walk
dentist
in-
and spending thousands. They're
But I
getting
can
new
walk
teeth
in-
and they're coming out.
Well, the thing, those people make appointments, you know, nobody walks down and goes,
That's
I
a
wonder if there's
service
a
also.
dentist down here.
No,
It's a
because I
service,
can walk
but it's
into
also-
Envision,
And walk out with
and
your
I can walk out with a
eyeglasses.
pair of
Glasses.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
And you can go into the hair salon and walk out with products above.
Well, they're on the other side.
Yeah, they're on Lexington.
they're on the, that's on.
Oh, you
different set
you
of-
mean the one on Front Street where
Front Street.
Lavender is? Yeah.
Yes, Lavender and Lace. You can walk out with shampoos, you can walk with products. I
Can't
think,
walk online.
really, although this is nice to look at the fluffy signs and all, I think the problem is much bigger. I mean, we are losing so much of the retail space. People are not going to go into there where Lexington is with the condition those are in.
No, and they
If we've
charge
got,
twice as
the last thing we
much
want
as
to do
well.
is drive away what realtors we have that are actually paying rent. It's going
And
to
the,
make it
and the
enough.
bridal shop, for example, when you all walked by, remember the bridal shop, she was about in tears. She said, I can't even exist here.
Yeah.
She's ready to just leave.
Yeah.
And the reason is, when she has a bride coming in from overseas or the United States, wherever they're coming, she puts out not the big tripod, no big waving thing. She has 2 rocking chairs out there and 2 potted plants. When they come, she puts up an A-frame this big.
think I
And
have it
in
in here.
chalk, she says, welcome Adriana. That's the bride and
There
her
it is.
mom and dad.
There's a
And that's
picture.
it, and it's only there when Adriana walks
it
in.
back in.
And she
Oh,
takes
okay.
it in, and it's done in
And actually, it's
chalk.
really pretty.
And they feel, they come in from, I watch them, they come in, oh, and they take pictures of it, and it's gone when they're done. And, you know, theoretically, she's not allowed to have that. You know?
I do want to clarify that the uses were determined with the Celebration PUD. It's not
And
like
said,
we
yeah.
came up those reasons
correct.
ourselves in the last
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
planned
thought
unit
that was part of the
development,
original
when the
plan.
community was formed.
Right.
And,
Right. It was
and
a
it's also in the,
Lexington projection when
Boyer
they sold the
Singleton drew those up as part of the
It's
charter.
2009.
we were looking across and they were like, you can't.
So it's in the charter that they can't have realty.
Which, no, it's not our charter.
PUD,
Oh,
and
PUD,
Waters,
okay.
in the Water Street condo docks
Oh,
as
okay, I
well.
get you.
But that wasn't what, it set up the rules. The Water Street just
Can they
abides
be
by,
changed?
first, they have to go to CROA
Water Street
to get
and the
a new
docks
blade
and
sign
services.
approved.
Mm-hmm.
And you all have to make sure that the new business is not a retail, yada, yada, yada. You've just never looked at the storefronts. You've just looked at their mission, their goal, and to make sure they aren't retail and they don't do this,
So
and
if this
this.
board decided that retail was permissible, what other hoops would we have to jump through?
Well, you definitely have to work with Water Street to revise their condo docs, and then I'm probably go back to an attorney as far as the PUD goes.
Okay.
I guess, is there anybody here that has not shared their thoughts that would like to? Paul,
I have a few thoughts, just that, I guess I like the solution that y'all came up with in terms of having one item. My concern is that if we don't limit it to one item, for instance, I look at Christie's here, and they've got this rack here, this, and so what ends up happening is people have 3 or 4 things out there, and it really starts getting cluttered. So, I mean, I like the idea of having one item outside your porch furniture that For instance, if at the wedding shop, if it's having the trifold Adriana, that works for them. Every shop is going to have something unique to them that they think is going to work. But I think, particularly if it's, it's not just like a steel. This guy's got a steel rack out there that is, just not attractive and cluttery. If it's one item that each individual shop designs that meets the needs of their shop, I would be okay with that. My problem is when you start getting, one person has 2 or 3, the next person is going to say, well, if you don't have a limit on it, then, you're going to have some people out there with 5 or 6 things. So, but otherwise, I'm as you know, I appreciate everything that you do for the community and the concert series and all that stuff, so.
I like the community event thing. I think that the exception would be one personal thing to do with your business, whatever it is.
Yes.
Okay, and that could be, I call it a kiosk. That plastic thing is a kiosk. Anybody can buy them. You've seen them. They're neat and tidy, and they're undercover. They don't get wet, And then I would say if you have community events that are current, like the tree festival, like the concert series, anything that's current that's going on. I just feel that I live here, and we want newcomers to know this is how vibrant we are. So I think community events should be allowed somewhere.
Well, and the great part about that is that, while designating the type of businesses maybe looks a little more, complicated, the guidelines are something that we can, actively change. We can work with the ARC to do the wording. The board can approve that. We can notice it out to the community like we do other guidelines.
Well, in the comment earlier about the sign, your sign and the RE/MAX sign on the wall, I don't see really anything wrong with that as long as we limit the dimension of that sign, and it has to pass ARC scrutiny.
Right.
I don't see anything wrong with that myself, quite honestly. But then that all of those businesses need to follow the same rules. We can't have somebody like Waterside pulling the stunts that they're pulling, and you're sitting over there fully in compliance.
So if I'm hearing correctly, the thought is to come up with maybe a standard, parameters at least, but allow each business to have one maybe feature that's kind of individual to their business that would kind of incorporate their materials. For instance, like the bridal shop may have the A-frame, you would have your clear display. Maybe, for instance, this business may have a different kind of display, and so on and so on.
I don't mind displays, but I don't think windows should be used for displays.
Yeah, no, I don't
Okay.
either. I don't either.
Did you have anything that you wanted to add to the conversation?
Yeah, step
We're
up.
relatively new, as you know, in celebration, so for me it's important to be able to display, or we will be forced out of us Catherine has said. It's a big undertaking, it's a market, it's a great town, it's one we want to be part of, it's one we want to be part of the community. And I want to fit in, we want to be part of that community. We got to make money to survive, we got to make money to pay the rent. So I know that the signage that we have in the window, it's not ideal, but it's not something that we actually want. And we would love permission to be able to put some sort of sign, so then we would invest some money doing signs for the windows. We would enter a window part office, the sign part office, but right now, Chris isn't here because his father passed away last night, so he asked me to come. But right now, we don't want to invest money because we don't know if we're going to keep it. So therefore, if we
Which store is his?
Right here.
As Kathy said, it is on sale, you know that.
Huh?
But if we were given the permission to do proper signage, then by all means we would do it.
Oh, when you say proper signage, what are you? Can you give me an example, like what you've used in one of your other stores?
By all means, I can take photographs and email them to you.
Oh no, it's okay. I would just meant like or something hanging in the window. You mean something large?
Illuminated signs is
Okay.
Like a digital signage, like a TV kind of thing in the window.
In our Sunday grow
Okay.
we have a huge television that plays. I'm not
They
saying
have one
we
at
want that,
Century
but we have
21.
ones.
Have you seen Century 21? They have, all the
It
windows
doesn't
are
dim.
covered,
It drives me crazy.
but then in the middle, you can
I don't
press a
think I like
button.
TV, but
Okay.
and it
Okay.
talks to you.
Is it on the inside?
No, it's on the
No.
outside.
On the outside.
Is it possible,
Is that
Susanna,
around
could you
there?
go ahead and just take a picture of the one you're referring, what you're thinking of?
But I would like,
And then just send it on to Susanna, and then she can forward it on, so at least we can get an idea of what you're thinking of as to where we're at. Is that reasonable?
yeah,
I'm seeing three potential different needs here. I'm seeing permanent signage. So tell me what the business name is. Fixed to the building, there all the time, good to go.
And the one hanging out.
Right, yeah, the blade sign, whatever, all that stuff is always there. The second type of signage is some sort of a temporary signage need. So something, if you're having an event going on, a bride visiting, something of that nature. Then the third type of signage that I'm seeing is some sort of a combination hybrid, a business and community type signage. What I would almost, I don't necessarily want to restrict a business owner to one exact style of thing that they need. Like, for instance, the Lexan kiosk works great. Lexan, plastic Lexan, not Lexan the business, sorry, Lexan. The plastic one works great for what Kathy's trying to do, but it might not necessarily work for what the bridal store is trying to do. To me, it's less about what the physical thing is, because that adds to the character of the storefront. It's more about the size and the dimensions of it and what it does. Like, I don't think that it should be out there making noise 24 hours a day. I don't think, that
Well,
sort of stuff.
Eric, I think you're going into two different types of signage. Signage after hours and signage during operating hours.
Sure. And I think, if we were to, I would be more comfortable with doing something that's along the lines of a dimensional requirement, rather
Right,
than,
that's what I was
it
saying.
can be no greater than 5 feet tall, 3 feet wide sort of thing, so it has to fit within a, size-wise container, like you're getting on the airplane, almost kind of thing. It needs to fit in this dimension. I don't care if it's white painted wood, I don't care if it's stainless steel, whatever you want. It would obviously, but then these things would come through ARC, and then we're telling ARC, hey, ARC, it needs to fit in this kind of a parameter. It needs to fit inside these boxes, but, if I'm coming in and I'm, I can't sell anything, so if I'm providing a service if I'm a welder and I'm providing a welding service, and I'm going left field here, but I want to be able to provide my own unique look and feel to the storefront area, I might want to have a nice stainless steel display of something that's going on with, work or something out there. I might not want paper at all. I might want, stuff that we've worked on. I'm just trying to come up with something, but I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to restrict everyone to the same thing. So there's a way that we can get consistency with things,
Flexibility, too.
but still allow the flexibility for the store owner to be able to do what they need.
And in the business type.
And the business type, exactly.
Right.
Do you take your Lexan sign in at night? I'm sorry, your
The
Lexan, your
thing?
plastic?
No, I don't, because
stays out.
most of
Things
the people
heavy,
pick
right?
those things up at night. To be candid, when you say store hours, I'm gonna say 24/7.
Oh, no,
And I
no.
mean this sincerely, because most people, when we come back in the morning, I'm going, oh, Sheila, you've got to run them again. They're gone, and they don't steal them. It's not like you find them all over town.
Right.
They literally are here at night. Think how many things go on in our town. And now it's Christmas. They're coming for the snow.
droves,
They come
yeah.
out of their cars and they go, honey, look at this, and they're pulling this and this and this. You don't find them on the streets anywhere. They're not throwing
Right.
them out. So I'd say my hours are 24/7.
Oh, no,
you know?
I'm not asking.
Yeah, I don't take
I'm not
it.
asking for that. The
I
reason,
don't take it in.
The reason I did that is because Eric, with his infinite wisdom, has a very
Noise.
very good idea in that we need to look at a day look and a night look
Uh-huh.
during business hours, after business hours, and he went through permanent signage, the blade signs, or whatever else we get to.
Speak up, Jack.
No, I withdrew that.
Let him finish
off-
first. Wait. Let him finish.
Temporary
Just wait.
signage, which is this thing such as the A-frame that they'll put out there for an hour or two and then take back in, and kiosk. And those are the three elements. And then I guess the only other thing would be limiting anything in the window to no more than two or something like the old rules used to be.
Well, there's still the
R2
rules.
R2 community events. I'm finished, Jack, go ahead.
Jeff, go ahead.
Actually, in your case, Kathleen, I understand the need to keep it overnight. There are some other businesses that would probably bring their stuff inside after hours.
Yeah, if they're not
That's a
gonna take it,
possibility.
yeah, like a
But the
flat.
thing I had a question for you is,
Yeah.
you have a limited space that you're using in that stack, that vertical stack thing. I think you would need double that.
But I don't, so,
Okay.
you know, I just.
Okay, but
it's
I'm just saying, because
literally-
I look at the number of windows that are decorated, and I'm seeing 20 and 30 different houses on the
Well,
windows.
I have as many listings or more, actually. if you know my
Probably more
business.
than anybody
I
else,
do.
but you manage it better.
But I don't put them all out, because I feel, from a marketing standpoint, anybody that comes into this town just goes, "Gee, what's your least expensive house?"
There you
So
go.
I give them all houses, and they're your houses, they're everybody's houses, on 2 sheets, front and back. It's all of the houses, printed on my ink. And then the others, condos under 2. And that's all I feel they really need to see. They'll come back if they're ready to buy something, so I'm not out to grab them.
I agree, and I like the coordination of your displays out there. I have a problem when I look at 615, for example. They have a various set of round table that doesn't necessarily match the 2 chairs and stuff like that. It's not coordinated at all. You know, I'd rather have them show an interest in what
You
they're
want a
doing out
patio
there.
set? Yeah.
Not a patio set, but something that shows more interest in
Some
their
consistency.
display.
Well, I had actually tried to, because Jim, yeah, but he can't mandate. But
Yeah,
I
but
think it'd be
I'm-
nice if
you
I got the 2 white rocking chairs, you know, if they all had the same, it would look so tidy and sharp, wouldn't it?
Actually, that would.
I agree,
You know, if
and-
everybody had 2 rocking chairs, or 4, if you've got a double porch, you know, we have 2 rocking chairs in the swing. But if everybody had sit-upons, it was just hard, you know, when they're coming in, they're trying to, I agree, because I go and clean those other places. We've got our lovely barber, everybody knows nails, but they're in the world, everybody knows the barber pole.
Right.
Yeah.
They doesn't need anything else, you know, there's a
Yeah.
barber shop, you know, it's like, you're gonna get your hair cut, you know,
Well,
so.
and going back to another issue, actually 2 more issues. I can't find anything in the charter regarding the specifications of the home business district, nor in the current home business district design guidelines restricting it to not in and out retail only. I don't see that anywhere.
That's the PUD. That's the PUD.
Okay,
That's why you don't see
so how do we have to do to change that?
We
Or
have
is
to go
that-
to the county in order to
Is
change
that
that.
a TCC change?
That's a TCC, you have to go through TCC, you have to go through the county. It's actually, that would be very,
Why the county? County?
yeah, because the PUDs go through the county.
Yeah, I think you'd have to.
PUDs through the county.
I think what I
Like I
see,
said, you have to
the
get an
thing that's
attorney
more
to
disturbing
help
to
you
see
through all that.
the trees and the forests and all that is that there are no rules written in there about what, you know, you were reading, on whether I can have a kiosk out there. Or, you know, one time, years ago, I put in the hot summer the lemonade out there. People could just come get there, and I was told, you can't do that. I wasn't charging. I had ice things with lemonade. People, the runners came by, you are the best, we're gonna buy you lemonade next week. You know, so I don't see anything, I guess my concern is there haven't been complaints. I personally would complain about things in windows because I think it's not pretty. There's another way to do it. I figured it out. But as far as, you know, how many chairs you can have out there, or can I advertise for community events? I don't see why this suddenly came up. I don't know where this all started, that we suddenly should look at this street, nothing else but just the home business district, and I don't know why, I'm curious why this suddenly, I asked that in April. Did we have one complaint or query? Maybe because of a lot of clutter. I can understand if people thought it was looking junky.
It's a
But-
slippery slope, I think.
Yeah.
Once one is
Well-
allowed, then everybody starts questioning everything else. So to reinforce, it sounds like you guys are kind of leaning in this direction anyways, but to reinforce what Kathy's saying, there's something that seems wrong about saying just
One day.
one sign and no others. It does say no such as A-frames, exterior signs, but then we say we can put the newspapers out, which we appreciate the newspapers
Yeah.
going out. We really enjoy being able to have those out there, but if we're going to say that, well, the newspapers are okay, and then one event sign, there's just something that seems wrong about that they
Yeah.
can't promote their own business.
And we can't promote the town even. You're really taking away my ability to give a walking tour of the town. And I just think if you're gonna put guidelines, if you wanna say nothing in windows, because our rules in general in residential is the window treatment facing out has to be white off white or natural wood, right? We all accept that, nobody complains. So
Well, I
you
would
could
be in
just
agreement
say,
with nothing on windows, that's, in
Yeah.
windows, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, that's
So,
what, that's what.
Can we
I
ask
think it's pretty
Susanna to take a look at this and then get back with Kathleen and get her approval?
Yeah.
Well, what I can do is take, based on your comments today, and I think I've heard it a couple times, so you're kind of on the same page. I can come up with a rough draft of some changes to make and present that to you as far as based on what you said about individual, advertisement and some
Can you get
parameters.
Kathleen to review it and help?
Yeah, I can send it to her and send it to the ARC too.
ahead, Debbie.
Get their input.
Just 1 second, Debbie, go ahead.
I just want to ask one question.
go ahead.
What do we need to do to get TCC involved in this PUD thing?
Well, let's take.
That
a-
was my
that's-
question.
Yeah,
That's
that,
another thing.
I
I
don't
don't care.
I'd have to do a little bit more research.
yeah, so that's something I can even reach out to Paige on that
I feel like
one,
step
too, so
one would
that's-
be,
yeah.
addressing the current owner's immediate concerns, which is what involves their businesses. And once we take care of that, if you still feel like you want to expand the uses of the businesses, we can take it, that next step. But right now,
I think it's
let's
important
focus.
to have a vibrant downtown, provide other business opportunities. If we're restricting ourselves like this, it's a failure. It's going to be a failure.
And that was my,
And the other side of the street, just so you know truly, the other side, and I'm not speaking badly about anybody, people knew, their rents are double what ours are. They're double, and they're 5-year leases. Our side is $2,000 for that storefront, and it's a 1-year lease with right to extend as long as you pay your rent and you want to stay.
It's no wonder they're advertising like they are, because they got that big nut to crack.
So what happens is, people are screaming at my door every single week, oh, please. Okay, let me think. If I want to make cookies, how could I do? I can make them at my house and put samples out here, and then people would not buy them here. I mean, people are dying because we're not retail. So we're already losing all the retail business, and I didn't come here asking for the ability
Right.
to do
You're
retail.
just not in that business. Yeah.
And I knew when I came, it wasn't retail. Every store owner that I manage, they're given those guidelines, no retail, right here. See that? However, I think when you have a downtown on the other side, if we codify what we're to look like, I don't mean colors and your furniture maybe, but what we're talking about, then I think when there's finally somebody to speak to on the other side, we should say for the town, be a strong board and say, look, we can't make you, you now own the downtown. And it's not Lexington because he's not doing anything, but let's say we get a new owner. Is that why don't we have each side of the street look very similar? You've got striped awnings, that's okay. But why don't we say blade signs and, even though you're retail and commercial, not ugly with stuff in the windows, I
And
think
awnings and things like that.
yeah, I think we can do that, but I think we need to start with a nice, clean example. And then we just move it along the street, and then it benefits everybody.
Go ahead, Debbie, just a second, Debbie, go ahead.
yeah, and I think while we are looking at this, we should look at possibly some type of expansion, because I will tell you, on the Lexington side,
Yeah.
other than restaurants, there is only 2, are we down to 1 business? Soft as a Grape is the only
Soft as a
one,
Grape.
and
And
then across the
Market
street.
Street.
The merchant.
Village Market Hall, Market Street.
Well, there's
Markets,
2.
yeah,
Market Street are the only 2 that have survived. Of those other owners that were non-restaurants, 5 not only lost their businesses, they lost their homes.
Yeah.
They put a tremendous amount into it. The
Yeah.
rents are
Off the wall.
astronomical for what the traffic is. If we don't, and as the ones are closing in, there's more closing.
There's
in,
more for
and
sale that
There's a lot
nobody
for
knows.
sale.
Yeah.
So-
Sweet Escapes is
Well,
up.
they've been up for sale for a long time.
But they may not be around long because of the
Yeah, they
leaks
can't
and all
get
that
out.
stuff. They're gonna get out of their leases and say, we're out of here, and he's gonna have to, and then
their
I
clothing
predict
shop is for
Lexington's gonna
sale,
have some
It's on the
issues
market
staying.
as well.
We
Yeah.
may lose.
So, I mean, unless we start to look at expanding this, we're going to lose our downtown area. Originally, way back, what happened, part of the failure was where you are and all along the bottom, on Water Street was supposed to be a business district as well, remember, originally way back in the beginning. So it ended up, those sold off as condos, but it made it so it wasn't really a destination. There just wasn't enough there, other than the restaurants would survive. And they were given 5-year free rent on most of them, so that helped
At the
on the beginning.
yeah.
So just to.
But I think we need to look at expanding and allowing retail over there. I don't know where else it's going to go.
I mean, that's fine, because I can get rid
But
of
I also
those.
think we need to
They'd
have
be just
personality.
what you want, sweet
Yeah.
shops, coffee shops. I
When you
mean,
look at the really cute seaside and other shopping areas, they don't have a lot of sets. They must be looking at them individually because they do have personality. They do have a draw. They do have the train outside or whatever.
well, we've had discussions, the yellow building, it had the Mickey heads in it. It was well, it's gone through many iterations right now. There's nothing in it right now. It's next to the Envision.
Oh, it just got
yeah.
approved
Yeah,
for
it
new
just got
business,
approved.
actually.
Yeah, we just saw the approval on it this past meeting. Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be a business,
it's
but
not
you know what
years,
everybody wanted?
She just said it.
I know, it's not with
I got
years.
to tell
Go
you.
ahead.
But what everybody wanted on that side, it's home business, every year, people beg, can I do a bed and breakfast? Can I have it be or a restaurant, you know, a little restaurant? Because they're set up for beautiful, like they have in New Hope, Pennsylvania. And I worked with, who was our person on the CROA, on the ARC?
Jeffrey?
Drew?
Jeffrey Mallon?
No.
Alec?
He worked.
Oh, I know who you're
Floyd?
talking about. No, it's,
Was he a CCMC staff person?
Yeah, CCMC. He was like the quintessential.
yeah,
oh,
he was
just-
before Jeffrey.
Yeah, oh yeah, way before Susanna. Anyway, he said, yeah, we'd have to
Jeffrey
change
Plus for
it,
a
but
while.
I know that there's been so many people that would like to do little restaurants there. You know, they have to get their own restaurant things, and bar license, that's their problem. But they lend themselves to beautiful little pockets, but it's just dead, we can't do it.
I
you
think
know?
there's one thing that we should all keep in mind, that the one thing that we have heard repeatedly from those that actually started Celebration is, we were hoping that you would evolve.
Yes, yes.
You need to make sure you are not
We haven't
stagnant
changed.
and
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
evolve.
I agree.
And we just listened to Eisner and Rummel talk about
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Our goal for your community was not for you to stay stagnant, but was to evolve through the needs of the community. So what I'm hearing here, generally speaking, is perhaps we need to look into some other options that are within our control. We can't do anything about CROA, but we can do things within CROA responsibilities. So perhaps we need to look into that. But I think immediate needs are going to be, Susanna, from what I'm hearing from everybody, is generally speaking, that we just need to hear back from you as to some of the different highlights you've heard tonight, following up with us and running it through.
I was just saying, what's our game plan now? We're gonna send
Waiting for
Suzanne
Susanna
off.
to get back on some suggestions.
I mean,
Well,
I think it's very fortunate Kathy is here. That one other person we're only two that heard about it. I know you guys walked around, but are we getting all their concerns? Because we need these businesses to survive. I mean, what they put in there, we need
got
their
a few in
ideas.
April,
Yeah, and
but I
that's the
got
reason
them.
why we've escalated it to this point. I mean, we
Okay.
had a conversation that Vanessa documented and sent out to you all a couple months ago about this.
Yeah.
And the next step was to try and bring it back to a workshop. We just get busy with budget sessions
Yeah.
and those types of things. So this was the next logical time for us to be able to do it. But I think for the next steps moving forward, Susanna's gonna need to work with us to rewrite the design guidelines. That will be with Kathy and with all the other business owners, just talking to them, getting
Perfect.
some feedback. We typically, for design guideline changes, will go back to ARC, get their input, get covenants committee input on them, and then it comes back to you ultimately to vote, and then it gets posted for 30 days, and the residents and homeowners, again, will have an opportunity to review them, look at them before you guys vote to
Can
approve it.
we
But
reach-
right now, I'm sorry to interrupt, but right now, we haven't proceeded on any of the so-called violations down there. They're all on hold.
I would also like to reach out to Jeffrey. I think Jeffrey, because he was here through all of this, could possibly provide some insight as to how we can accomplish this. And typically, especially with the ARC, if it's something that Jeffrey is kind of heading over, at least there's some logic to it. They may not agree with him, but at least there's some logic to it they can follow. What is everybody else's thought on that?
He has TCC's ear too, so.
Well, yeah,
I
that's.
think we need to have the board express our desires to ARC as well.
I think
Absolutely,
that'll probably be the way to go because, like I said in the past, we did present these ideas to the ARC and they felt that there was already too much clutter in the home
And
business
that's
district.
unfortunately, when you see one you don't like and then you see two, we
Yeah.
know which ones look cluttered.
And that also answers your question, Kathy. You're like, well, what brings this on? And you're right. Maybe not necessarily your unit, right?
Right.
But some other businesses that have so much
And-
catches people's eye.
Yeah.
And then when you
And
look
it
at
is
one,
messy.
you
I
have
go
to
by
look at
and go,
everybody
"Oh,
equally.
That's terrible, but I'm not mad at them. It's just
The situation
But I
is
will
very
caution one thing, if I might. It's really important. If they do, for whatever reason, which is not what we're here for tonight, make this a retail. You've got to watch food. You really can't do food on Water Street. You won't have that option. I'm a home business district, but I had to take out, because remember, Water Street was not an apartment conversion. A lot of people think. It was built as condominiums,
Yeah, it
under
was.
condominium statutes. Nobody seems to know that in this town. It was then used as apartments and went into, from apartment use to condo use. So Water Street cannot, my stove isn't there anymore. I had to literally take out my stove. And so you can't have somebody cooking on my side of on Water Street side or making noise. And cooking, they can't just sit there because our things don't vent out. They vent into they just circulate. It's that kind of if you had a stove. And so you can't do food. You could do coffee shop with coffee makers, but you can't do major cooking because there's no place to do it. So,
No, but you
No,
can do
anything-
floors, you can do things like
yeah,
that.
you
which
can do
are
a floor,
definitely-
exactly. So you just want to make sure that you don't have food and noise. They can't suddenly put a fan in that kitchen that blows out the back window that goes like they have over at the Titanic,
Yeah.
which at one point impacted the condos above.
Right.
And people said,
Remember
hey,
that.
no way.
Or say anything with noise, sell anything with
So
noise.
you got to watch
Yeah.
your noise level, because some of those little window things, like they had one next door to me at Remax, and he took it down, where they did get to press the button, and all night, I'm sitting here trying to work, I got customers writing offers, and you hear blah, 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 and music, and it's just blaring. And I had to go and say, look, be a good neighbor. So you want to just watch noise, and if you do allow any kind of food, that it's a very modest. It could be a coffee shop. I know Gloria would kill. Gloria at the thing would kill to have one of our units for just coffee and tea to work along with the other place, the Jones Room,
Sure.
because they're out of room. So it could just be a coffee shop. Not big, just big enough to have magazines and coffees.
Okay, so
Yeah,
if
we
you want
appreciate
to
it.
let me kind of draft up some changes based on your feedback today, and then I can get the homeowners district their input too, and then present it through Covenants of ARC, like we said, and kind of come back with a package in a little bit.
And add in
After
the
we've
retail
kind of
everything.
touched all the bases. Yes.
Yep, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Kevin.
you,
Thanks,
Ken.
Kathy.
That to Kanoa.
Kathy, thank you very much for coming today.
Yeah,
I know it
great-
was short notice, but
some great
thank you
input.
for adjusting
Thank you.
your
Seriously,
schedule.
yeah.
Thank you very much for listening. I think, and I can tell some of the owners, what we did tonight. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
Good
good evening.
night.
We're still on tape right now?
So, are we good with home
When you start
business for now? We good, everybody?
Yep.
Board,
Yep.
generally?
Still got other things.
Your side chatter? Any other comments? You good? Okay.
We're still, we're on tape.
No, I don't want to go off tape.
We are still running till the.
So, right, so here's my next question. We have a couple more minutes. Workshops. December's workshop is going to be,
Capital project.
thank you, totally went. Todd is going to do a presentation on capital projects, and then we're also going to discuss the block voting, correct, Steve? Is that still?
That was one of the items, and then the other item was the Empower.
Yes, the empower,
And-
working on the,
In both of those two items, I did request that Pat be part of. and-
Right.
And I know she's on vacation that week, but we're talking about how we
can
get
work
that
through.
covered, so, yeah.
Okay, all right. So those three items.
Seems like a lot.
Well, it is, but we're trying to get a couple things in before the end of the year.
Okay.
We've got voting that's going to be coming up, and I know that has been, the block voting was something that was of a hot topic and of issue that we need to iron through before, because elections are just around the corner.
Are we
I don't think that
able?
will take more than 15 minutes.
I wouldn't think so.
It seems like it'd be pretty
Okay.
quick.
Well, and we're, Spring Lake is selling those units pretty quickly. I mean, we've seen this year the increase in the.
How many does
capital.
the developer still have?
We're down to 40 something. I think.
Wow, holy smokes.
Yeah, so the block vote conversation is not as big for next year as it was in the past when there was 160 votes. But it still comes into question when we start looking at what Island Village does, and when they start registering those different villages and different developments, how many votes are they going to have at a time? So it is important, I think, moving into the future. If you're going to prioritize, it might not be the one that you have to do in December. You still have January or
Right.
February to talk about that.
The Empower group shouldn't take that long either, correct? It should be no more than 15-minute discussion, I would imagine.
You never know.
I don't
Well,
think we've
then,
ever
in
had a
which case we can
15-minute
carry it
discussion.
over into next month. We don't need to solve the we can bring the issue up, find out, and maybe do some research on some items if we have to, and then we can continue it in January. Is there anything that anybody wanted to put as a workshop that we have not already identified? I think those three things are the only ones that were left. Leonard, did you have, Eric, anything? Anybody else?
Can we email you tomorrow?
Absolutely. Anyone else that? No?
No dumpsters? No?
Dumpsters, yeah.
Sorry, never mind. We could,
Actually, let me give you a report on dumpsters. Okay, I'm meeting with Cliff about this, with Susanna and Maria. We're doing a little study, gathering pictures up, and we'll be going to meet with Ron Cole probably about this.
okay.
Okay, because
Had to bring it up, Debbie.
Ron Cole.
Ron Cole is code
He's with the
enforcement
county.
for the county.
Oh,
And we have no power over those dumpsters.
Nothing.
The only thing we can do is possibly put something in our guidelines that if you're going to do any structural changes, they've got to be done. Just dumpsters have to be hidden. Something we can put in there. But oftentimes, if they don't pull a permit or they don't do an exterior job, we have no control over that dumpster.
We can't ask for reflectors or anything?
No,
Nothing?
that's the county.
reflectors would be nice.
Well, it was a good try, because they.
Emptying it wouldn't be nice.
Yeah, I think that would be nice on a timely basis, yeah.
It's just we come around the corner, this is great.
Okay, so
Okay.
dumpster update, thank you.
And pod too.
And pods, thank you.
Pods.
Yes.
CDD tree issue.
Oh.
The CDD tree issue.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, unless it's resolved before then?
It may be resolved by the election.
Well, we'll just wait. Yeah, I think that's something that hopefully it will resolve after the election, but it may be something we need to revisit one way or the other.
Even if it resolves from the noise goes away
should get over it.
perspective, we still got to review it anyway,
you
because
do.
the way the documentation is written
Is
is
We need to clarify it.
confusing.
Yeah.
Whose
You know,
responsibility
Make sure
is
everybody
it?
I think one of the things we want to make sure when we're addressing it is ownership, I don't think is clearly defined in our governing documents of the trees. I know it talks about maintenance of the trees in the section, but it doesn't specifically say ownership of those trees. So
Correct.
it does say pruning of landscaping and turf in those easements. So, trees are silent, but could it be perceived that trees are in landscaping, pruning
Well,
usually is for trees?
the only thing that
But
I will
that's a
cite.
maintenance issue, not an ownership
My
issue.
only experience, and I'll get to you, my only experience with regards to trees was that I was actually forwarded a memo from an internal CDD memo stating that my tree in front of my house was on a watch list for replacement. So I'm not sure why they would have a watch list for replacement if they weren't accepting some type of responsibility on it. I'm actually looking up the email as we speak. Okay, go ahead, Leonard.
In 2011, CROA and CDD signed a delegation of authority agreement, and under section 2 of that, the scope of delegation, the district hereby delegates to CROA and the ARC the right to review, approve, or deny an owner's application solely concerning the addition, changes, or removal of mailboxes, stepping stones, or other hard surface walkway, and small plantings, provided blah, 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 blah. Basically, it says that's it. Small plantings. Well, trees are not small plantings.
For approval, right, or changes,
For approval.
modifications, right.
So we've never had that approval. I've never viewed the tree in my front yard as being anything other than something that CDD owns.
Yeah.
Well, can I
There
just
still has to be something in writing in the developer's declaration.
I
or something.
have not. I have to go back, and I haven't had time because I took the weekend off, and I'm sorry.
Leonard.
But I feel really good.
Can I
You look good, too.
Can I ask is, I worked with Gary, Gary's got 40 years of experience doing these things. Have we, what I would think might help would be for you to sit down with Gary, or maybe that's happened, but to sit down and understand his perspective. I think Gary's sort of driving this thing to a certain extent, and at least get his perspective on this thing before we start kind of getting riled up and whatever. I mean, have you had a chance to do that, or is that a
No,
good suggestion, or would you?
I haven't had anything from Gary, and I haven't had a chance to reach out to Gary.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
with that kind of, we're sort of getting into stuff, try to, it'd be nice to get, understand.
I know you've got a-
Again, I think Gary is sort of,
Bad week.
you know, he's done hundreds of developments, and he's been down this road before, so.
I think my main point is, as
No, that was my email.
as you all are out talking to people about this, I don't think that when we talk about the maintenance section in the governing documents, it doesn't specifically say ownership belongs to. So that's all, I'm just stating that fact. It's not to get in the weeds on this, but the conversation I think is going to happen. You had a meeting with John.
I had a meeting with John on Wednesday, and I forwarded that on to everybody, just saying, based on my meeting, I think we just need to wait till the election. Wait till we have a new board in.
So what happened? What did John say?
Oh, no, it was just that generally speaking, that they don't believe that they, according to Severn Trent, good gosh, that Gary believes that it's our responsibility.
And that's why I say I think
Yeah.
it makes sense
Can I just-
for Steve to talk to, rather than us getting all riled up and doing stuff, is for Steve to talk to Gary. And maybe there'll still be a lot of confusion, but at least, I mean,
Well-
maybe there's some agreement there, and y'all could kind of come to that, but more than likely, there probably is still going to be, certain things that need to be resolved, but I don't know why I'd like to at least take that first step before we start getting into this, and wait for the election, all this other crap that's going on.
Well, here's, and I just found the email too that I got, and it was July 8th, 2015. It was a horticultural came in on behalf of CCDD, and it was a scheduled community horticulture study and review of concerns, meeting to discuss observation and concerns. There are pines. They addressed each and every tree, and mine was one of them. So there's an oak. Oak at Teal Avenue is struggling, should be put on a watch to determine need for replacement.
Is that yours?
That was that's the tree in front of my house. So there is there's documentation out there that obviously CDD had a horticultural come through and discuss it. So there's a level of responsibility.
Does it say that the CDD were replacing it, or that you're going to be responsible for replacing it?
It says nothing. It just says that it's put on watch. But there's several of, there's shrub work, there's a couple of them. There's turf. It's a problem area.
Before we take the next step, could we ask Steve to talk to Gary and at least come back to us with what they heard?
Can't hurt.
No,
it can't
that's
hurt.
fine with that.
Can't hurt.
Go ahead, Jack.
I
And then we need
don't
to-
know who's going to end up being responsible in the end for paying for it. I can understand Gary's position regarding CD not wanting to pay for it. We haven't budgeted for it, nor do we have any background or information about how much money it would cost for us to pay for it. I know you guys don't want to pay for it, but here's the deal. CDD is probably the best people to manage this issue. They can do it much more cheaply than we can do it. They have the resources to do it. If we have to pay them, that's one thing. I'm just saying they're a better manager. They'll get it done a whole lot cheaper. They know what's in the ground as far as utilities, what happens as far as curbs and sidewalks. I don't want an individual homeowner to go out there and hire some Joe Blow company out there to pull a tree out and then rip up the utilities and then have to put a tree in. We get ourselves all kinds of trouble then, because people lose their internet and all this other crap that's going on. So I think it's much better if one agency manages this whole thing. If we have to pay more money to do it, that's fine. But the other issues are covenants. If we have a dead tree and we say, hey, you got a dead tree, you got to remove it, it's not, right now we don't have a mechanism or covenants to identify this. But we also have the same problem with our covenants. It could take 6 months or more for that tree to get replaced. And that's to me an issue, is maintaining the beauty of the community. And that's why I think one central agency will be responsible for it. It's like an insurance policy. You all contribute in as far as paying for the number of trees that each year to get replaced. I just think they are better capable of handling than we are.
On that note, we have 10 minutes before our appeals meeting. Do I have any other business that we would like to discuss? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Adjourned.
Don't just turn the camera off, stop the feed.
For the two people watching.
Let's start, let's start.
I kind of agree with you. I think it would be better.
We need to do it.
I agree with you. I think it would be better.
Or not.
You know, based on the historical replacement schedule they've done, then we budget for it and we pay them for it. But
At the end of the day, the residents, one way or the other, we're going to pay for it.
We
So
can
it's
all
like,
talk and say a million things, but unless Gary talks, you don't have a lot of.
well, the basic thing is, the homeowner's gonna pay for it. Either you're gonna pay through the homeowner dues, or you're gonna pay through the CDD dues.
You know what?
One way or another.